Hello Kitty murder case took place in Hong Kong in the spring of 1999, when a nightclub hostess was abducted in Liu Estate, where the victim was tortured and raped in an apartment in Tsim Sha Tsui after stealing a wallet owned by one of her frequent customers. Fan Man Yi was held captive by 3 men and 1 girl before dying between April 14 and April 16, 1999. Her body was decapitated and her skull placed inside of a Hello Kitty mermaid plush, one which gave the name for the murder case. Born in 1976 in Shenzhen, Fan Man Yi was abandoned by her family as a child, resulting in her being raised in an all-girls orphanage in Ma Tau Wai. When she turned 15, she was told to leave the orphanage because they had an age restriction. Becoming homeless and addicted to drugs, Fan was forced into street prostitution until the age of 21, when she began working at a brothel named Romance Villa, located in Sham Shui Po. Fan eventually married one of her clients, a fellow drug addict named Ng Kai Yuan, in 1996. She gave birth to their son 2 years later in approximately November 1998, not long before her murder. The couple and the child formerly lived in Mong Kok. Fan's husband was described as abusive and neighbors would report being woken up by sounds of the couple's fights and the child screaming and crying from their apartment. Upon the pregnancy and then birth of her son, Fan decided to turn her life around in order to protect her son and provide him a safer life. She quit drugs and prostitution, got a job as a hostess at a nightclub named Empress Karaoke Club, and eventually left her violent husband shortly before her murder. Due to these sacrifices, she had a much lower income and struggled to support herself and her family. Chan Man Lok, born May 17, 1965, a 33-year-old Wo-Shing-Wo triad member who had problematic behavior since middle school and previous convictions for drug trafficking, in 1991-5, was one of Fan's regular clients at the brothel. In early 1999, Fan stole Chan's wallet, which contained about 4,000 Hong Kong dollars, roughly 500 United States dollars. When Chan realized what had happened, he demanded Fan return the money in addition to a fee of 10,000 Hong Kong dollars. Although Fan immediately returned the stolen money, she needed more time to secure the additional fee. On March 17, 1999, Fan was abducted by 3 men and 1 girl at her flat in the Fuyu section of Liu Estate. Chan, his grooming victim. The group took Fan to an apartment at number 31 Granville Road, Tsim Sha Tsui, 8, where they imprisoned her for a month. The apartment was rented by Chan himself, but was owned by 2 men referred to as Ah Sam and Ah Kao, who were not involved in gang activities. Initially, Chan had intended to make money off of Fan by pimping her out to other men. Prior to the kidnapping, both Liang Weilun and Liang Xingqiu worked at a retail store nearby Granville Road. During her imprisonment, she was tortured and raped. According to one source, she was beaten with metal bars, sometimes while being strung up and used as a punching bag. On one occasion, Fan was kicked in the head around 50 times. Spices were rubbed into Fan's wounds, her legs and feet were burned with candle wax and hot plastic so that she was unable to walk. She was forced to consume human feces and urine, and she was forced to smile and say she enjoyed the beatings. If she refused, they subjected her to even harsher torture. This treatment eventually led to traumatic shock and ultimately death. 10. Fan succumbed to her wounds between April 14 or April 15, 1999. Some sources claim that she died while her captors were out, while others say she died overnight. Upon discovery of Fan's body, her captors dismembered and boiled the remains. Her skull was sewed inside of a Hello Kitty doll filled with dead insects while the rest of the body was discarded. Only her skull, 1 tooth, and some internal organs were recovered in a plastic bag, after Lau led the Yau Ma Tei police to the scene on May 24. 4-10-11, 3 police officers, Chu Ka Hsue, Sin Tim Hua and Andrew Yip Yan Ling, all from the Yau Ma Tei Police Division No. 539, were the first officers who arrived at the scene. 4 other parts were recovered from trash dumps in Sham Shui Po, Wan Chai and Tai Kok Sui. 12. At the time of the arrest, Chan was living with his wife Ah Pui and his newborn baby at an apartment in the Shek Ning section of Shek Lei Estate. The apartment was raided by SWAT officers on the early morning hours of May 28. 4. Zhe was first suspected to be involved in the murder, but was quickly released after no evidence was found. After finding out the murder made it to the media via a Macau-based local newspaper, Liang Weilun fled to mainland China, Guangxi 13, before getting caught by the police on February 14, 2000, after irregularities were found in his passport. Prior to the arrest, Liang was put on Interpol's most wanted list. 14. He was sent back to Hong Kong on February 17 for trial. Fan's skull was identified on June 3, after a photo-overlapping method, at Lockhart Mortuary, and the skull was moved to Kowloon Public Mortuary after the trial. On December 7, 2000, after a trial which started on October 20, 15, the three men were convicted of manslaughter with a vote of 6-3-16, as the 8-man and 1-woman jury ruled the remains were not sufficient to show whether Fan was murdered or died from a drug overdose. While the jury could not rule that the men intended to kill Fan, they did determine that she had died as a result of their abuse. 17. Lau testified at the trial in exchange for immunity. 1. During the trial, Chan and Liang Xingqiu denied killing Fan, although they did not deny dismembering her body. 18. Chan's wife Zhe Pui Ling, Fan's husband Ng Kai Yuan and Fan's aunt also testified in court. After the guilty verdict, Liang Weilun's sister reportedly experienced a mental breakdown, while Liang's brother slammed and broke the court door, causing damage. 16. Justice Peter Nguyen, who sentenced the trio to life in prison with the possibility of parole, stated, "Never in Hong Kong in recent years has a court heard of such cruelty, depravity, callousness, brutality, violence, and viciousness.